What is going on, guys? Welcome back. In this video today we're going to learn how to migrate a SQLite database to MySQL using SQLAlchemy in Python. So let us get right into it. Alright, so for this video today, I'm going to assume that you already have a SQLite database that you would like to migrate, and I'm going to assume that you already have MySQL and the MySQL Workbench installed on your system. So we're not going to cover these two things. We're not going to learn how to create and fill up a SQLite database, and we're not going to cover the installation process of MySQL and the MySQL Workbench. We're going to focus on taking an already existing SQLite database and migrating it to MySQL using Python and the external Python package SQLAlchemy, which will do the object relational mapping for us. Now, why would you want to take a SQLite database and migrate it to MySQL? Very simple. SQLite is a good database to get started. It's simple, it's lightweight, it's easy to use. You don't have to install anything, you don't have to set up anything. But when you get to a larger, more complex project, as your project grows, when you get more users and more features and it gets more complex, it's just not as suited for this as MySQL. MySQL has more features, better performance, is more sophisticated, more complex. It's just a better choice than SQLite. So are Postgres and other database management systems. SQLite is just not something that you want to use in a large scale production application. This is just something that you can use in the start or for very small applications, small databases. When you grow your system, you want to transition to something else, for example, MySQL. And this is what we're going to do in this video today. So we already have here this library DB, which is a SQLite database. Here is the create script. It's not really important. We just have some tables here, authors, publishers, genres, books, and stuff like that with some data here. It doesn't really matter what's in that database. We're just going to transition it. We're going to migrate it. And the way we're going to do that is, as I said, with object relational mapping. So we're going to use Python and SQLAlchemy to take tables, to map them to classes, and then to take those classes and map them to MySQL tables. This is what we're going to do. Now, the first thing that you want to do is you want to open up your MySQL Workbench. You want to connect to your instance, and you want to create a new database that we can migrate all of this to. So we're going to say create database library DB, for example. And then I can refresh here, and we have this new database. That's basically it. The rest is going to be done in Python code. And for this, we're going to open up a new Python file, main.py. We're also going to need to install SQLAlchemy, so pip3 or pip install SQLAlchemy. And in my case, it's already satisfied. And what we're going to do then is we're going to write the code. So we're going to start with some imports. We're going to say from SQLAlchemy import. We're going to need create engine. We're going to need column. We're going to need integer, string, date. We're going to need the foreign key constraint, and we're going to need the unique constraint. So we need all these data types because the columns that we have are integers and strings or text and dates and stuff like that. We have foreign key, we have unique. So we need to have those also here in Python. Then we're going to say from SQLAlchemy.extension.declarative, we're going to import declarative base. And then we're going to say from SQLAlchemy.object relational mapping, ORM, import session maker. Those are the imports. And what we're going to do first now is we're going to define a base. We're going to say base equals declarative base. And then we're going to create the classes that map our tables. So again, here we have authors, publishers, genres, and stuff like that. We're going to now create a class for all these tables. And for this, maybe we should use a split view. So we have here the SQLite tables. And here we're going to say now author extends or inherits from base. And we're going to say then underscore table name underscore equals authors. So this string here should be this here, this table name. And then we can define the individual fields. So author underscore ID. And author ID is going to be a column. This is what we imported here. The column is going to be of type integer. And it's going to have the primary key keyword here. So primary underscore key is going to be set to true. Then we're going to do the same thing here with first name. First name is going to be a column. It's going to have a data type string. Now, the important thing is this is not the case in SQLite, but in MySQL, a string needs to have a length. We cannot just use a text data type as in SQLite. So here we're going to specify a length, 255, for example, and we're going to say nullable equals false, meaning that we cannot have null values here. So this is basically not null. This is exactly what we have here. And like this, we now translate this whole SQLite code to SQLAlchemy code, and then SQLAlchemy can easily just export this into MySQL. So I'm going to copy this here now. We're going to do the same thing for last name. We're going to do birth date equals column date. We're going to say bio is going to be again a column string 255. So this is the author. So this is the author table here. This is the author class, and this table is going to be mapped to this class, and then we can map it back to a new table. So we're going to do this now for all these tables. I'm not sure if I'm going to just type this here and leave it like that, or if I'm going to speed up the process. I'm going to decide on that when cutting the video. But we're going to now just do the basic same thing. So table name, maybe we should actually just copy this because most of it will be quite similar. So we're going to say publisher, base, table name, publishers. And then we're going to say we have the publisher ID, which is an integer and a primary key. We have a name, which is a string and not nullable. We have an address, which is a string and can be null. And we have a website, which is also a string and can be null. So this is the second table now, this one. And we can continue now with the genres. We have, actually, I think I can just copy this part here. Genre is gonna be table name genres. We're gonna have an ID here again. And we're gonna have a name. And the only thing that's important here is we're gonna have also a unique constraint. So we're gonna say unique equals true. All right, well, that's that. How many do we have? We have books, patrons, checkouts, and this relationship here. So for the book, we're going to again copy just this here, down here, class book, table name books. Then we're gonna have a book underscore ID. We're gonna have a title, which is going to be a string, not null. We're gonna have now, and this is maybe interesting now because this is something new, the book now is related to the author. Now in this database, it's a little bit odd because we have in the book table a reference to one author, but we also have a table book author. So we have a one-to-n relationship and at the same time an n-to-m relationship. So yeah, many-to-many relationship, but we're still going to keep it like that. Now, the important thing is we have the author ID and the publisher ID and the genre ID, and those are all foreign keys to the other tables, so to the other classes in this case. So what we're going to do now here is we're going to have to also specify this in SQLAlchemy. So we're going to say here author ID is going to be equal to column is going to be of type integer because that's the ID. The ID of the author is an integer. And we're going to say that there's a foreign key constraint. And here we're going to pass just a string to authors.author underscore ID. So let me zoom out a little bit here. This is how we do that. Now I'm going to copy that twice. I'm going to do the same thing here with publisher ID and with genre ID. And we're just going to change this here to publishers, publisher ID, and to genres, genre ID. There you go. And then finally, we have also publication date, summary, and ISBN. So we're going to need a couple of more columns here. So let's actually just copy the title, paste it 3 times. Now we're going to say publication date is just going to be a date. Then we have summary is going to be a string, can be null. And then we have the ISBN which is going to be unique. There you go. So that is our book table. Now we have our patron table. So let's copy this as well. Patron, patrons, then we have the patron ID. Then we have first name, last name again. Actually, I can copy this here from the author. There you go. Then we have an email, which is going to be not null and unique. And then finally, we have the registered date, which has a default value, which is the current date. So what we're going to do now is we're going to, first of all, get rid of all this, and the publication date now will be the registered date. And the important thing is now we need to specify here the default value, default equals, and then current underscore date. And then we're going to, we're going to say now, finally, or not finally, we have two more tables. We have checkouts. So checkout is going to be inheriting from base. Table name is going to be equal to checkouts. And then we have here just, where is this? We have an ID, we have an ID, an ID. So those are foreign keys again. And we're going to have a date, and a date. So what we're going to do is now we're going to copy two of them. Or actually we have here, what do we have? We have the book ID and we have the patron ID. So we actually don't have any of them anywhere yet. I'm going to copy these two. We're going to need the checkout ID. This is just the basic ID that we have everywhere. And we're going to need the date 3 times. So 3 dates. I'm going to copy just this date 3 times. Now we got to rename all this. So we're going to say checkout ID. That's done. We're going to have a book ID. We're going to have a patron ID. This is going to be books, book ID, patron ID, or actually patrons, plural. And then we need to have a checkout date, which is going to have the default equal to current date. And then we have the due date and return date. All right, and now finally we have the relationship table here, which is book author. So this one here, and here essentially we just have to say book author again, base, come on, underscore table name equals, and then we're gonna say book underscore authors. And here we essentially just have now 2 keys, so 2 foreign keys. Basically I can copy these 2, I can paste them here, and I can change this to author ID, and I can say this is just author ID of the authors table. All right, so that's it. And actually we need to also say that those are primary keys, both of them. So primary key equals true. This is important because now we have a multi-key primary key, multi-field primary key, which means that those 2 together have to be unique and identify an individual row. All right, so those are the table definitions now. What we need to do now is we need to take this structure here. We need to take the SQLite engine or the SQLite database. We need to get all the data based on these mappings here. We need to get all the data from the tables, and we need to create then a new MySQL session to then create a new database with all the data. So how are we going to do that? We're going to do it like this. We're going to say SQLite underscore engine is going to be equal to create engine. And here we now need to specify the following string, SQLite : / library DB. And we're also going to have a MySQL engine, which is going to be create engine. And it's going to be MySQL plus MySQL, and maybe you need to actually install this. I'm not sure if we have to say pip install PyMySQL. Could be the case. Just try it. If it doesn't work right out of the box. :// and then in my case you need to here put your credentials for MySQL. Again, I'm not going to go through the setup process of MySQL, but you just have to log into your MySQL instance. In my case it's root and then password and then @localhost and then 3306/librarydb. This is the one that we created here. Create database librarydb. This is what we connect to. And what we need to do now is we need to start a session. So we're going to say here SQLite session is going to be equal to session maker, and then bind equals SQLite engine. And then we're going to say SQLite session in lowercase is going to be equal to an instance of that SQLite session, like this. And the same thing will be done for MySQL. So we're going to copy this. We're going to say MySQL session is going to be that, but bound to the MySQL engine. And then here we're going to say change this to MySQL. And here we're going to say this is a MySQL session. There you go. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to say base.metadata create all MySQL engine, so that we have all the tables and all the structure in the database. And now we're going to go through all the tables, go to the SQLite database, get the data, and merge this into the MySQL session. So you're going to say now for table in, and I'm going to have here the classes author, publisher, genre, book, patron, checkout, book author. For all of these classes, get the records. The records are equal to SQLite session dot query the respective table, whatever the table is in this current iteration. Get all of it. So call the all function. And now for every record in records, what we do is we say MySQL session merge this record. And then when we're done with this, we say MySQL session.commit. And then we say SQLite session.close, MySQL session close. So basically, we define the structure here. What's the problem here? Book author with H. We define all these mappings here, and then we say, based on these definitions, get everything from the SQLite database and then put it into the MySQL database. That is essentially what we're doing. So if I didn't make any mistakes when I run this, it should actually migrate the database. So I'm going to run this now, and there you go. I got a warning, but I think this is not a problem. Now I'm going to refresh all of this. There you go. We have the tables. We have all the tables. And now I can say use library, librarydb. Come on. And then we're going to say select everything from authors, for example. There you go. We have all the data here. Select everything from books, for example. We have all the data here. And now we can even go ahead and do some visualization. So we can go to database. We can go to reverse engineer. And I think, what do I need to do here? Just have to connect. Next, librarydb. Import, execute. And by doing that, we now have a diagram, an entity relationship diagram. So you can see that the database that we had in SQLite is now a MySQL database. Here are the relationships, and we also have the data. So this is how you migrate a SQLite database to MySQL using SQLAlchemy in Python. And of course, this works with different database systems as well. Now you will need to have to connect in different ways, but just open up not a MySQL session, but a Postgres session or something else, and you will be able to do the same thing. So with SQLAlchemy, with object relational mapping, you can migrate SQLite databases to something more sophisticated. So that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and hope you learned something. If so, let me know by hitting a like button and leaving a comment in the comment section down below. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell to not miss a single future video for free. Other than that, thank you much for watching. See you in the next video and bye.